chemicals in your brain literally control so many things about you that you may not even be aware of what it's actually doing. So here's the interesting thing. It's just, this is a realization. I mean, you already kind of known that, with certain chemicals and things that you do, because if you consume substances that are psychoactive in nature, it controls certain things. But it's amazing how we like to think as human beings that we have control over our lives, that the reason we feel things is a result of just us. But the truth is, that's often not the case. Often we're our actions, our mood, the way that we feel about ourselves and the world is all controlled by all these different chemicals within our mind that shape the way that we feel about ourselves, shape our anger, our depression, our happiness. All those sorts of things are all controlled by this. And basically, the realization, like how I kind of really started to think about this, was that I was speaking with someone talking about antidepressants, speaking with someone else talking about other forms of like serotonin and dopamine in the brain and everything, and just various things here and there. And it made me realize something. It was very interesting because when it comes to the hormones that I'm taking, I've talked about my side effects and these issues that I've had and everything, and how specifically it seems to impact the hypothalamus of the brain, causing some sort of damage to it, not making it function properly, causing some sort of dysfunction, and that can regulate some of these hormones such as dopamine and serotonin and everything. And then I really started to think for a moment. It's like, people who take antidepressants, they often have a diminished sex drive. They often, sometimes, if it's especially like early on or they're taking too high of a dose, they can be zoned out. They may not be all there. And that's something that one of my friends was talking about. Not that they were taking an antidepressant, but they were taking something that helps with serotonin levels. But the serotonin levels got elevated to the point where it was just kind of like a blank stare, just like just demotivated and just not really feeling all there, just kind of zoning out, sleeping, excessive sleep. Of course, I can't sit here and say taking these natural supplements, YouTube would not like if I have it that. YouTube and maybe some other places would not like if I say certain things regarding natural supplements for, antidepressant stuff. But you can do your own research and such, okay? That's not on me. But anyway. So some of these some of these things when it comes to these brain chemicals. So how I really thought about this. And this is what is just so weird to me. So we're not we're controlled by these emotions and everything, because I think back when it comes to the hormones, taking those pills, doing, feeling awful and everything, physically and mentally, when it comes to like low mood and energy and all that sort of stuff. But also when I went over to the patches, which were probably, the least most effective, and they really were not having a negative impact on my body, it feels as though some things were starting to get regulated. And I feel as though when it comes to like the hypothalamus, it is diminishing. And I've done a lot of research based on this. Of course, you really can't find too many scientific studies when it comes to hormone replacement therapy, especially for trans people. But regardless. So I think in my particular case, I think it's somehow impacting my dopamine levels. And the main reason I think that is like I haven't had a lab test. So I really don't know. I don't know how they really test those sorts of things. But regardless, my serotonin levels probably seem fine, because if you have low dopamine levels, that can decrease your drive in life, that can decrease your sex drive, that can decrease a few of the things that I seem to be having some side effects with, especially like the sex drive. And then when I went on the patches, because they were not as effective, they were not having a negative impact as much on my hypothalamus, all of the issues went away and my sex drive skyrocketed. And then when I went back on injection, when I went to injections, it all reversed course. So I'm thinking that for whatever reason, the hormones are playing a negative impact with the hypothalamus, causing some sort of issue with the dopamine levels. And that's just like, the more you drill down into this, it's like, where are the scientific studies for this? How are you going to tell a 13 or 12-year-old who's getting on puberty blockers to transition for the rest of their life, all that sort of stuff? You're not going to tell that to them because science doesn't even know. So if I'm sitting here telling you that as a direct result of the hormones, this is the side effects that I'm facing, that is just why I just cannot get any sort of debate behind kids. It's just, it is so appalling and disgusting that people allow that. But regardless, that's not what the topic is about. Talking about the brain chemicals and everything. So I'm just like, especially since, and here's the other form of confirmation that I had. So the doctor that I see, ideally I wanted to get prescribed testosterone because I need testosterone, in my body. And I have found that the higher dose I go with the estradiol, the lower my testosterone is. It's like a testosterone suppressant because of my body not producing testosterone anymore. So it's kind of like a bit of an issue there because she's not willing to prescribe it. I don't know if the insurance would, even help cover that because, they're already helping with the estradiol. So it's like, oh, you want testosterone too? No. So it's like, I just don't know. That would have been the ideal, but I'm thinking now, oh, that's right. So the other form of confirmation, she basically said, I would talk about some of these side effects and the sex drive and everything, and she made a few suggestions, none of which really did much of anything. And then she suggested prescribing me an antidepressant for my sex drive, and I'm just like, I'm not taking an it's like, but the one it was Wellbutrin, which apparently most antidepressants and stuff, they affect dopamine levels. They may suppress them. They may elevate serotonin levels. They may, depending on the type, obviously. But this particular one, it was supposed to help raise or act on dopamine and help raise those levels. And everything that I'm reading now about the dopamine levels being low and the sex drive and the desire and all that sort of stuff, like drive in life. Even my confidence was sky high when I was taking the patches and all that sort of stuff. I'm feeling really, really good about myself. And then it's like, that may be it. That may be the solution. Very, very interesting. So I think certainly I'm wrapping this all around to the point where it's like, it's so interesting how these brain chemicals control us. Because basically what I'm saying is, the fact that I felt so confident with who I was, I had all this motivation and this drive, and it's still there, it's just not as strong. But the fact that those chemicals do that, it's like I still feel confident with who I am. I still like the person that I am, but it's like I felt even better when the levels were normal. So I just find that so fascinating how something, even if it's a slight imbalance, slight things here and there that change certain things about yourself, how they make such a massive impact on your life. So I will report back my findings when I start taking, not taking an antidepressant. I'm going to take a natural supplement, amino acid, to help with some of the dopamine levels and everything, and we'll see how that goes. Because I'm really hoping, especially early on, so let me tell you this, when I do the injection, for the first 2 to 3 days afterwards is when I feel my worst, like the sex drive plummets, I have really cold feet, my body feels very cold, I have some side effects. I've tried messing with the dosage, lowering the dosage here and there, changing that, it's still there. And then after that, those 2 to 3 days, the sex drive starts to come back, the body heat starts to regulate appropriately, I start to feel better. It's like, okay, So that to me, no doubt that hormones are negatively impacting some levels within my body. And I think it is the dopamine levels. And I just find that so fascinating. I really do. And I know some people have commented, oh, you're killing yourself. You shouldn't be doing that. All this sort of stuff. It's just like, you know, people are so foolish. People are so foolish. Go ahead and comment that, because I have read it, but I don't really care what you have to say. I don't really. He's like, turn to Jesus. He will save you for this. It's like, sure. Anyway, I just cannot stand those people. I cannot. Anyway, you all take care. Have a great one. And I will report back at a later time regarding my findings with taking some of this stuff. Okay, so if you're dealing with some of these side effects, then I will let you know the outcome, and maybe, you know, you can try it as well. Who knows? I can't suggest anything to you. You got to make up your own decision. So that's it. You take care. Bye-bye.